Reflecting in the MYP unit is one of the most important things we can do as a teacher. There are three parts to the reflection: a before teaching section, a during teaching section, and an after teaching section. The before teaching section should be completed before you teach the unit. That means that you can write it while you're planning. You don't have to finish it, and you don't have to address all of the bullets on this list, but you do need to think about some. I think it's a really important place to put what your students' prior knowledge may or may not be. What do you know from vertical planning that they might know already? You can try to anticipate their reactions and their interest level. I always suggest talking about the learner profile. There is nowhere on the unit planner to talk about it officially, so you could certainly put it in this section. This likewise with service learning opportunities. How can we have our students take action? That's a really important key part of thinking about during the reflection process. You can also anticipate what resources that you might need, and even possible interdisciplinary connections. This doesn't mean you're making it an interdisciplinary unit, you're just showing that there's some possible connections there. During teaching, I think, is sometimes the most neglected section of the reflection, because we're busy teaching and we're not thinking about sitting down and writing out our reflections. I try to make a couple of times during a unit to sit down and think about this, and especially if there's something that I've had to change, then I try to write about it right then so I remember. But you can document your student questions. What questions do the students have for your unit? If there's something that's difficult or particularly challenging or might require new skills, you can write that down so you can be forethinking that for the next school year. If you've had to make an adjustment or a change, you would need to record that down somewhere. And how well students are meeting the objectives, like are they progressing the way you would expect? How you're developing your approaches to learning skills, and what was particularly helpful during the unit. A quick example of this is many, many years ago, I was doing a unit on Japan, and I had this great primary source document activity that I wanted to do on the samurai. And I brought in these primary source documents, and I had the students working on it, and the lesson was not engaging. Like, they were really struggling. And I realized too late that the struggle was they didn't have the background knowledge they needed on the samurai to really engage with these documents. Because the very next class, I used a video and showed with them. And I think if I'd done the video first, the primary documents would have been much more successful. So I made that notation in my during the teaching reflection so I could remember that for the next year. And then there's after teaching. This is where you might talk about your learning outcomes, particularly if you're very data driven. You can write about that. You can talk about the effectiveness of the summative task. Was it good? Were the students able to succeed? Do you need to make changes to it going forward? What evidence is there of student learning? What strategies in the unit that you used were particularly effective, that really helped the students learn more? What surprised you about the unit? If there was any surprises, what changes you would definitely make for the future? How the unit met the subject area aims. I think that's something that's really unique, because we don't talk about them anywhere else. And of course, the potential for transfer. What kind of learning can the students transfer to other courses or other units of study? Just remember, the big key takeaway is that you do need to be reflecting. Reflection is actually one of our learner profile attributes, and as teachers, we should be modeling this for our students. Not that they're reading our units, planners, in their reflection section, but we need to be modeling that practice for our students. Here's a reminder of the prompts, and good luck with this.